Hi guys, Rachel Rouse here. I just wanted to share with you some things that God and I have been working on together over the last couple of months. You've got a bit from me and a bit from Jon, so double trouble, the joy of both of us today. We have both felt drawn to the passage in Jeremiah, which I'll read for you, is Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And it's been an interesting past year for all of us, very exciting, very new, very unnerving at some times. But I think what God has been showing me is that to trust Him, to trust that He wants good for me and for my family, but to also trust that He will help me look for the light in situations, help me to look for the positives, that when I can look back on things that have happened, to really focus on the positive. And yeah, so I thought I would share a bit of that with you. I think Jon's going to speak a little bit about us moving house, but I am too, so sorry about that. So yeah, we moved house into Corfmullin on the day of lockdown, the first lockdown in March. The week before that, we were meant to have been on holiday in Center Parcs, but we got to Center Parcs and I was pregnant at that point with Miriam. And we sat there on the first night and we listened to the news that said pregnant women were in the vulnerable category and should kind of start shielding. And yeah, I was a bit sad, as you can imagine. I love Center Parcs, love a good rapids. So we decided to come home. However, our house was entirely packed up with boxes. So fortunately my parents have got a caravan in Rockley, so we went to stay there and did our own kind of mini staycation. I then got quite ill that week, and yeah, poor Jon pretty much moved us on his own with the movers. Yeah, it was an interesting time. Eliza and I got to our new house about 4 o'clock in the afternoon of the day and found all our stuff there, and Jon had already put the beds up, bless him. And then we sat down and watched the news on our phone at 6 o'clock and heard it was lockdown starting. And yeah, I think during that time I think we all could easily look back and think, gosh, that was awful, that was lonely and hard and, a bit scary at times. But actually, I've really been working with God to try and look at the positives in it and to really draw out the things that I've learned and what hopefully the memories I will take with me from this. And I'm not saying it wasn't hard. I'm saying that God is really helped me to focus on the good bits and to really hold those memories at the top of the list. Spending time with Eliza was amazing. She was meant to start nursery. Well, she had started nursery just before lockdown, but that stopped. And actually, I got to spend some amazing time with her before having Miriam. We got out and explored the area. We didn't even know there was a heath just behind the house, which was amazing. We bizarrely have got even closer to both sides of our family through doing FaceTimes and just really regular contact through different mediums, Zoom and WhatsApp and pictures and snail mail. Eliza now loves visiting the postbox and sending stuff. And yeah, I'm loving the fact that I've got these great memories of us kind of unpacking the house on our own. That could have been really stressful being quite pregnant, but actually it meant that we just did it in our own time. We just did what we had to do and we got on with it. Yeah, God has really helped me to see the fun side of it, and that's, hopefully the bits I'll really treasure from this year. Another thing that happened this year was we had Miriam, my beautiful baby girl. She's now 4.5 months, trying to be on the move, quite the smiler, and she absolutely loves Eliza, and the two of them are just amazing to watch together. Lots of tickle time. Having a baby during the COVID pandemic has been quite the journey. Fortunately, it was a really easy pregnancy, I guess, compared to how it could have been. I felt pretty well. I was tired, but that's just life. But towards the end, it got pretty interesting. I had false labour at 36 weeks, false labour at 37 weeks, bits in 38 weeks, 39 weeks, and it was a bit unsettling, kind of being in and out of hospital, especially when it was a bit early on at 36 weeks. But each time the contractions kind of calmed down, and I came back home and it was all safe. And then got to, I won't go into too many details, don't worry, for the faint-hearted of you out there. It was a couple of days overdue, and I'd been having contractions steadily for about 24 hours at this point. So I went in, and it was a really quiet night, and I had kind of a double room to myself and sat there and read my book, which was lovely. And they came in and said, right, we're going to induce you. I was like, oh, okay, right, we can do this. But because of COVID, I was on my own. So Jon was at home with Eliza, and my mum was driving over from Portsmouth. And because of the COVID restrictions, Jon wouldn't have been able to come in until I was kind of in established labour, so stuff was really going. So they were about to induce me, and then a doctor came round at about 10 o'clock in the evening and said, all right, we're just going to give you a little scan just to check where everything is and check it's all okay. And he kind of started scanning. He went a bit quiet, and then he started moving the scanner kind of up my belly, and I was like, oh gosh. And then he said, right, your breech, which was a bit of a shock. I'd had a lot of midwives kind of feeling the positions, and so far everyone thought she was kind of head down and in the right position. So yes, that was a bit of a curveball. And then the next day went in to try to turn her, but that didn't work. So then had a C-section. And actually, having the C-section was amazing. As soon as I decided to have the C-section, Jon, who'd been waiting in the car park, got to come straight in. He was there for all of it. The midwife I had was amazing. And she was a great support. She really made it an experience. And it all went very smoothly. There was no rush, no panic. It was a really lovely, bizarrely, a lovely experience, and Jon got to be there for all of it. He stayed, so she was born at about 11 o'clock. He stayed with me till about 4 o'clock in our room, and then I went up, and it was just amazing. We were home in 24 hours, and I've recovered really well. And I think at first I felt slightly cheated by COVID. I felt maybe it should have been, they should have realised she was breech. Because of COVID, it felt a lot less personal with the midwives as such. Like, there was kind of like a barrier between us as such. But actually, God gave me the space to deal with it. And in his own time, and in the time that's right for me, actually he's shown me that, having the C-section with Miriam was amazing. Actually, when they cut open and kind of pulled her out, they said, oh, she had the cord round her neck twice and things like that. And actually, if I'd, gone into natural labour, it could have been not as easy. And I think having the C-section meant that Jon got to be with me for the whole time, which is amazing. It could have been a bit of a lonely experience, but actually he was there for all of it, which was something I really treasured. I think maybe if I'd have known she was breech earlier, I would have had more time to maybe panic or go to Dr. Google, or yeah, I don't think I'd have gone into it as relaxed and just happy to see her, really. So yeah, that's what God has been showing me, that He will work with me to show me when I'm ready and when I need to know the positives from things that have happened. It may not be straight away, or it might be straight away. And that even in worrying times or times that are just a bit different, He wants us to prosper. He wants the good for us. And He also wants us to be able to acknowledge that and to understand it and to know that He was there in it. And yeah, I've really felt that, and I've really appreciated looking back, even just like a month or two ago, and being able to see the good in it and see the light in it, and yeah, keep myself positive, for my sake, for John's, for Eliza and Miriam's, to be able to be, the best mum that I can be for them. And yeah, really miss seeing all of you guys, and yeah, lovely to chat with you. Bye.
Hi there, my name's Jon Rouse. I hope everyone's been keeping well and managing to enjoy the last few weeks, even though we've got all these COVID restrictions going on. I wanted to explain a little bit about what I've been relearning and being reminded of, and really that I've found that's hit home over the last 6 months with everything that's been going on. I know it's been some truly unprecedented times, but through it all, I've been reminded about a passage from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. I don't know about you, but I like to make plans. I work well by making plans. I have lists everywhere. None of them get filled, none of them get finished, but the lists are always there, and it's how I process my day-to-day and how I process work and everything else. Through everything that happened, everything that started back in March, I had a long list of plans, and everything that was going to happen at a specific time was all mapped out. And March, we moved house the day before lockdown, the day of lockdown starting, and at that point all the plans had to go out the window. I don't know about you guys, but it just felt like everything was gone and out the window, and it was really unsettling and really scary. Now, through that, I keep coming back to that passage and knowing that in everything that we do and everything that goes on, I know that God has a plan for us, and that plan is there, and it's a plan for good. It's a plan for our benefit, and that we know that we have to trust and we have to rely on that. And that's what I've been finding over the last 6 months, is no matter what has happened and the changes that get put in place, we have to fully rely on, and the changes that are imposed on us, we have to fully rely on God and His provision and to make the most of the outcomes from that. So from my point of view, we had 6 weeks or so in the initial part of lockdown where I wasn't working, and I got 6 weeks of enjoying some really lovely weather in the garden with Eliza playing day in, day out, and I've never had such a block of time with her like that. and having that time has been really special. And that is something that has prospered me in a lot of ways that I wouldn't have had that in my plan. We managed to unpack and decorate and do everything in the house within about 3 to 4 weeks because there was nothing else to do. So through that, actually, the stuff that we've got done and everything else, it has really made a massive difference. Despite moving house, actually, we've got to know our neighbours really well. And a real blessing has been that one of our neighbours needed some work done, and he, on a job that he was working on, and from that's been a recurring piece of work that's gone forwards, that's kept money coming in, that's been that banker in the corner, and that was a large chunk of work, and it's been a massive blessing to us. But without COVID, he would have had someone else doing that work. But because I'd moved in and we chatted, as you were doing in a socially distanced manner across the cul-de-sac, you get to know each other, and it goes from there. And through it all, something that I've really, really had to remember and that's been reinforced and hammered home throughout, has been that we can make the plans that we want, but actually God's plans are higher than everything. And if we are ready and prepped to move, and ready and prepped, and we try to go, then actually those plans and the plans that we have are nothing in comparison to the bounty and everything that his plans have laid out. We can only dream of what those plans could be, but we have to fully rely on him and his plans and his blessing and his peace in these scary times. That means that actually he is, to make sure that he is fully in control of our lives and our destiny.